Hi everyone, welcome to my first tutorial. Today I'm going to do something that's not so original and show you how to recreate a pin-up look, which I've just done half of the look already over here. And the reason that I've decided to do that today is because I have a rockabilly hair tutorial that I want to show you how to do after this. So I thought, why not show you the makeup as well. I'll place a note at the bottom of the page today for all of the products that I use, just in case I forget to mention them as I'm going. First, I'm just going to use a mixing medium and a MAC paint pot, just to get a nice sort of sheer shimmery base over my lid here. So just on the mobile lid, which is the area just below the crease there. So you can see my crease there, so anything below that area. And just kind of blending it just slightly up onto the crease, just so it doesn't start. If you find it easier to use your finger, then you can do that. So I'm just going to use a kind of taupey tone and just softly blend into the socket here. The best way to do this, I find, is just by popping your chin down. That way you can target the area that you need to get to shade. I just find it's a little bit easier. Sometimes if your chin's up too far, you can distort the eye and you can take it up too far and lose the sort of shape as well. Or you can place too much of the colour on the mobile lid, the darker colour, and that can sometimes close the eye in. So just blending it across softly, and we just want to gradually build up the colour here. So it's a slight tick out up to the corner of the brow, and just turning the brush around and dragging that back around. And now I'm going to use a darker colour, which is a MAC colour. I think this one's Embark. So just following the same kind of line. And as I said before, we're just gradually building up the tone here. Every now and then just popping your chin up just to take a check. And then opening the eye, I'm just using a socket brush just to define a little more. So this is just a warm matte brown, and it's in the neutral palette that I was telling you about before, the Proof palette. And I've lost the sticker off the bottom, so I can't remember exactly what all of the colours are called, but there is only one warm brown in there, so if I put a link down for you, you'll be able to find that easily enough. So I'm just going to blend into the inner corner. So now with the soft fluffy brush, I'm just going to highlight the brow bone, and I'm just using Brulee by MAC. Again, it's just quite matte, just to give it a little bit of definition. Both my eyes are slightly different shapes, so sometimes blending them is a little bit tricky. I'm just going to take this one out a little more. Okay, that's good. So now I'm going to use a MAC Pigment, and I think this one is called Golden Air. And I'm just lightly going to press that into the mobile lid. So by pressing it in, you make sure that you concentrate the product and you don't spread too much of it all over your face. But if you do, it's easy to fix. You can just kind of give it a wipe underneath after you've done that, and then put your foundation on after. So now I'm going to line the inside of my eye with a cream. This is kind of like a concealer pencil, so it's quite light, neutral, but not as stark as white. I sometimes find the white is a little bit too stark. So just going to line the inside of my eye. Defines the eye and opens it up a little bit more. I'm going to, using a firm angle brush, I'm just going to use a gel liner by MAC, and I'm going to do my my winged eyeliner look. So this takes a little bit of time to get used to. A really good trick if you're having trouble, if your first time, is to define the line with a pencil, and then once you've established it and you're happy with it, it's easy to kind of blend it out. If you're not, then you can trace over it with your gel liner, and it just saves again a lot of time. With the gel liner there's not a lot of room for mistake, so once you get it on, it's on. So I tend to start in the middle of the eye and I slightly stretch my eye out. This just helps to create a firm line. With minimal product, I take it into the inner part of the eye here, closing the eye a little, and at the outer part of the eye I start to go off the eye line, the natural line of the eye, so I'm starting to angle it out and up. If you follow the natural eye line, you can start to drag the eye down, which isn't the kind of look that you're after. So, and then from the outside corner of the eye, just start to pull it up and out, and then you can go back and fill in whatever you need. So I'm going to blend a little bit of the colour underneath the eye, just in the outer third, like I've done here, and then so just slightly pulling it across to halfway. So concentrate the colour in the outer third and pull it across halfway. And this just gives a little bit of shade under the eye. I'm just going to use my mascara now. I tend to use the Great Lash by Maybelline. I find that the consistency of the product stays, it doesn't dry out after like a lot of the products do, and I tend to find it when I'm going through so much mascara, and on clients I can't use a regular brush, I need to use disposable brushes anyway. I tend to find this one's really good. I'm putting a little bit of underneath, and I'm just going to show you how to define your brow. You can use a pencil or a liner, like a pencil or a powder to do this. I prefer to use a powder, I find it's a little bit softer. So I'm just going to brush my eyebrows. I like to brush them right up, and then the outer third I tend to pull it back down. So using an angled brush again, but this one is a soft bristle angled brush, whereas the one I use for the eyeliner is quite firm. And now I'm just using a really, it's quite a warm neutral colour, you can see, but that matches my hair quite well. You can match it up to your natural hair colour. Generally, you would always use a matte colour to do this, and just short little strokes up and out, and you're really just filling in the gaps. Okay, that should be pretty good. And again, I'm just going to define the brow and just do a stronger line on the perimeter, just to define the shape a little bit. If you get a bit too much concentrated product, which I always do, just use your brush just to kind of brush it up and out and blend it through again. Okay, lightly conceal any areas that that need it, generally under the eye, I would always tend to do. And I'm just going to use my finger just in that inner part there, and a little bit onto the bridge of the nose, but not too far because I don't want to cover my shading. Just the outer corner of the eye as well, I tend to find that just kind of can lift the eye up again. I'm just going to blend that through, but you can use a regular foundation here or a powder foundation, whatever you prefer to use. I don't really like to wear foundation too much unless I'm going out, so I'm just going to use a Mineralize powder just to take the sheen off my face. And just give the powder blush that I'm going to use a little bit of something to adhere to. You always want to make sure that your cream is on cream, powder on powder. So if you're using a cream blush, then you do that before powdering. But if you're using a powder blush, even if you don't like to wear too much powder, you would just powder down the areas that you're applying the colour to so that it blends on the skin and it doesn't grab. So you can kind of really build this up if you want to get a little bit more coverage. But as I said, I just want to take the sheen off my skin and give it a little bit of something to, give the blush a little bit of something to hold on to. So the blush that I'm going to use today is Pink by Kryolan, and it's kind of like a peachy pinky tone, which is just beautiful. So I'm just going to do it on the apples of my cheeks, and to do that I'm just smiling, cheesy, and just dabbing it on the cheek area there. Now you can layer the product as much as you like, slightly pulling it under the cheekbone to give a bit of definition, and then smiling to take the product back onto the apples. So now I've applied quite a bit of colour, I'm just going to blend it out, and this is a dual fibre brush from MAC, and that tends to blend the product really well. They're great for everything, really. Okay, so traditionally people would do a red lipstick, but I'm going to do something a little bit different today, and just do sort of quite neutral colour. It's quite a peachy tone. I'm not going to worry too much about defining my lips here because I want to keep it light and fresh. And we're done. At this point I might stop and put on some false eyelashes, and I'll come back and see you soon for the hair tutorial, and maybe I'll define my beauty spot as well. Okay, great, thanks.